Salman, have you treated the central area for C3R or the affected area only?
Actually,
what
for
was your strategy?
Yes, absolutely. So for the PRK treatment per se, we have centered the way we centered usually in any other PRK patient. However, while treating for cross-linking, we have slightly decentered it inferiorly in all these cases of PMD, and that has been the way we have been dealing with PMD for so long.
You treat central area.
In cross-linking, sir, we slightly descended it inferiorly so that the area of which will be the most biomechanically weaker will get more support. As we can see in the periphery, the rays go obliquely and it is not as effective as in the center.
For PTK?
PTK is actually what we do is we don't take the pupillary tracking system, we switch it off so that we slightly can inferiorly descend the PTK as well in this situation, but not too much.
But the PRK was centered on the pupil.
Yes, sir, but the optical zone was very small. So like PTK was about 7.5 millimeters and the PRK was 5.5 millimeters of optical zone. So even though it was centered around the pupil, it was in the confinement of the PTK zone.
But what was the reflector you fed into the computer?
For every case, it was different. So we have gone, even in these cases, up to 40 microns of maximum ablation. And we included only astigmatism. We did not treat any sphere in this.
You only included astigmatism?
Yes, yes.
That is what I got.
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any question from the audience?
The next speaker is compare autologous plasma and time future with superior projectile autograph in management of primary pterygium. So the presenter is Dr. Abhishek Gupta. Ready?
Good afternoon, everybody. The topic is to compare the efficacy and safety of autologous plasma with 10-0 suture for conjunctival autograft in surgical management of the primary pterygium. As we know, pterygium is a degenerative condition of subconjunctival tissue which proliferate as vascularized granulation tissue to invade the cornea, destroying both the superficial layer of the Bowman's membrane and the stroma, and which is covered by the conjunctival epithelium, disturbing both the patient because of their appearance and the surgeon because of their tendency to reoccur. Symptoms include fleshy mass, redness, watering, foreign body sensation, blurred vision. Successful management of the pterygium is a constant challenge for the tendency of recurrence about 2.7 to 87%. Thought introduced concept of ocular surface by conjunctival autograft transplantation. Coriani G et al. Introduced with the fibrin sealant, while Cohen, Denold and Foreign et al. Introduced with the autologous fibrin glue for the conjunctival autograft. Kibis Malik et al. In 2012 conducted cross-sectional study to describe successful outcome with sutureless and glue-free conjunctival autograft. Material method include two groups, 30 patients in each the group. In group 1 with autologous plasma and in group 2 with the 10-0 suture. It's a prospective interventional case series, includes 60 eyes, 30 in each group. Age 23 to 61 years, male to female ratio 2.3:1. Duration February 2013 to September 2013, which was approved by Institutional Research Ethics Committee at Subharti Medical College, Meerut. Coming to the inclusion criteria, only primary pterygium is included, and exclusion criteria were the recurrent pterygium, bullous keratopathy, pseudopterygium, glaucoma, retinal pathology, conjunctival scar, corneal tumor, dry eye, and history of any previous ocular surgery or trauma. Preparation of autologous plasma. It's very simple. The whole blood is taken in the EDTA tube. It is centrifuged with the rate of 1000 to 2008 per minute with the time duration of 10 minutes, and it's kept for the refrigerator. There are the instrument, centrifuge machine, and this polyproline 10-0 suture. Coming to the surgical technique, all surgeries were performed by Dr. K.P.S. Malik, Dr. B.K. Malik, and Dr. S. Kumar to ensure the consistency. Part is painfully draped and with the betadine, virus speculum is applied. From the help of the lymph forceps, the pterygium is held with the lymph forceps head and it's excised with the crescent blade from the over the corneal surface. The condition should be taken that not to excise the subconjunctival tenon capsule with the help of the Westcott scissor. The pterygium tissue is excised and the body of the pterygium is also excised in figure 4 by leaving the bare sclera in figure 5. Now the bare sclera is measured with the Castroviejo caliper, both horizontal and as well the vertical, and 1 mm of extra conjunctival graft should be taken from the superior conjunctival autograft. Now another care should be taken that the limbal portion of the conjunctival autograft should coincide with the limbal portion of the bare sclera. Now, after placing the conjunctival autograft on the bare sclera, the 2 drops with the plasma, autologous plasma, is poured over the conjunctiva and it is pressed with the lens spatula for approximately 5 to 6 minutes. Now the post-operative results with autologous plasma. Coming to the regime, eye was patched for 24 hours in both the group. 10-0 sutures were removed after 1 week. Combination of topical moxifloxacin with loteprednol eye drop were instilled 4 times a day for 2 weeks along with lubricating eye drops. Post-operative regime, patient were followed post-operative on 2nd day, 1st week, 6th week and 26 weeks. The patient were examined for hemorrhages, wound gap, graft shrinkage, chemosis, graft dehiscence, recurrence or any other complication. Result, at 6 weeks post-operative, the gain in uncorrected visual acuity ranged from 0.18 to 0.5 log mark in 52, which is 86.6%. Total graft retraction occurred on the conjunctival side in 2 eyes, which is 3.3%. Recurrence was seen in 1 eye, which is 1.6% at 6 months. And foreign body sensation is seen only in 2 eyes with sutures only, which is 5%. Now this is the photograph of pre-op 2nd day, 1st week, 6th week and the 12th week, and after 24 week. This is the second photograph, patient with the right eye with the 10-0 suture. Now coming to the conclusion, sutureless and glue-free limbal conjunctival autograft with autologous plasma following excision result in low pain, no foreign body sensation with good aesthetic and functional outcome. After 24 hours, result of both groups are statistically similar. This surgery is a safe, effective and economical option for the management of the primary pterygium. As pterygium is more prevalent in rural population, this surgical procedure would prove to be beneficial for them. Thank you.
Do you have any surgery to show the clip? Okay. You said the follow-up was 1 week, 6 weeks and 26 weeks.
24 weeks, sir.
Okay, it was type 26. So I put any rational. What are the precautions you want to advise?
So precautions are mainly the first.
Not displace. The flap attachment should happen properly. What is the tips you want to give?
Sir, tips, the first tip that the not excess tenons should be excised. The second tip, sir, only the superficial layer of the conjunctiva from where the transplantation has to be taken. Only superficial layer of the conjunctiva is taken. And third precaution is as we taken the conjunctival autograft, the limbal portion of the conjunctival autograft should coincide with the limbal portion of the bare sclera. So for the limbal cell transplantations.
And you have not dissected the body or mass of the pterygium itself. You just dissected the conjunctiva along with the body to the just 2 to 3 millimeters away from the limbus.
No, sir, not 2 to 3 away. The head is dissected and these are bodies dissected, but excess subtenon should be avoided.
Usually we do the dissection of the body under the conjunctiva also quite immediately or temporarily.
So we had done, but there is in 2 patients we have seen the granuloma formation also.
Why?
Two patients.
Granuloma should not happen with serum and should not happen because of the dissection.
So maybe because of excess dissection.
No, excess dissection should never be
Because of one body is there or some tissue here.
Yeah, I answer the as well as the thickness at the end of the one part near the limbus you have the bare sclera part, and at the other end you are having tissue attached to their band.
So but the post-operative
Thank you. Our next topic is analysis of accuracy of tissue removal in relaxed smile using of OCT by Dr. Sudalas Shah.
Small clinical study to see the accuracy of tissue removal. So reflex smile, as I think all of you know, is a relatively new procedure, all femtosecond procedure for the correction of myopia and myopic astigmatism. So excimer laser removes tissue micron after micron after you have lifted a lacing flap. The ablation rate can vary depending on the temperature, the humidity, the hydration of the cornea, the duration, and there is a greater variability with higher corrections. Whereas in Relax Smile, the femtosecond laser removes the lenticule arm mass just by optical defocus. So it's a closed correction. There is no flap. Therefore, the excision rate should not vary. And the aim of this study was to see, we've overall seen that the clinical results, which I will present later, have been very good. This study was done after that to see how accurate is the tissue removal with the femtosecond laser during Relax Smile by subtraction pachymetry. So the retrospective study of consecutive eyes, where we had the pre and the 1 month post-operative OCT, 27 eyes, 54 patients. The parameters we measure with the flap thickness, the lenticular thickness by subtraction pachymetry, and the residual stromal bed as measured on the OCT. We compared the intended versus achieved flap thickness, the lenticular thickness, and the residual stromal bed. This is how it was done. So we've taken a high resolution corneal OCT picture pre-op to see what the total thickness is. Then we've taken the same picture post-op. So you see the flap thickness, you see the residual stromal bed, and when you add the two and you subtract that from the pre-operative pachymetry, you're getting the lenticular thickness that is achieved. Based on this, we saw that the flap thickness, intended flap thickness was very tight. The intended flap thickness is 100 microns for all these patients. If you see that variation plus minus 5 microns is very good in most of the eyes. In some eyes, we have had a larger variation. These included some eyes with suction loss. I think 3 eyes of these had suction loss, where the reflection could not be very well identified. So maybe this is an error of measurement. The lenticule thickness, if you see, going from 40 microns to almost 130 microns. Here the scale is in black, but it's the same scale. So plus minus 5 microns in 44 eyes, or 81.5 patients, or plus minus 10 microns in about 50 eyes, that is 92% patients. And the residual bed, plus minus 5 microns in 45 out of 54 eyes, or 83.3%, 10 microns, 51 eyes, or 92, almost 93%. So I think overall the tissue removal, as we've analyzed by the AIOC during Relax Smile with the Visumax femtosecond laser, was very accurate. There was a very high degree of consistency between intended and achieved. And this goes kind of hand in hand with the clinical results that we see. I think one difference is that though the accuracy of removal of tissue is very high, sometimes if you have a toric misalignment, though the amount of tissue removed is exact, you can still have an undercorrection of residual ametropia because of the undercorrection of the cylinder. And I think that's, I've finished well in time. Thank you very much for a very patient hearing.
Dr. Shah, don't you think 10 micron is a bit higher side? It can create up to 1 diopter of error.
Yeah, you're right. 12 microns is nearly 1 diopter, so this is almost quarter. The clinical results have been very good, and so this, if you see the AIOC, we have not done reproducibility with the AIOC, and it's kind of subjective. So when you're taking the measurement, there can be some error in that also. So we have to actually review this data in a larger series. But I think ballpark, it's fairly good to be within plus minus at least more than 80% of these are plus minus 5 microns. This is a small
does the clinical data correlate with the data
yes.
What you are showing here?
I have not shown that because we didn't put the refractive results in the abstract, so I could not include here. But this data is part of a subset which I am presenting again in this session. You will see that the accuracy of the data is, the refractive results is very good. This is consistently what we have seen in Relax Smile, and the accuracy of tissue removal.
There is a fallacy in this OCT.
That might be so. What we have not done is do reproducibility. So we have not done the flap and this again and again and again. This was looked at by an optometrist, measuring the flap in the bed. So whether there is a real error or this is an error of measurement, we don't know. But the clinical results have been good, which is why we actually did this study after looking at the clinical results.
The flap thickness is
Not auto-detected. You have to, yeah, it's a manual detection.
Actually, you have to mark, and many times when you move the cursor,
If you
moves
move it
3 to 5
slightly, it
micron, not
moves
1 by 1
several
micron.
microns.
So there will be one residual error part. Thank you. Now we call upon the next speaker. Comparison of higher order aberrations before and after implantable contact lens implantation by Dr. Ritu Arora. Dr. Ritu Arora is not there? You are.
You are the member? Yes.
You are the Ritu Arora.
No, the presenting author is Dr. Gaurav.
Okay, sorry. The chief author is different and the presenting author is Dr. Gaurav. Okay, you go ahead, your time starts. Time on.
Sure, take it.
You can have your-
Change.
Today I will be talking on comparison of higher order abrasions before and after implantable polymer lenses. No financial interest for disclosure. Higher order abrasions reduces visual performance whether they are pre-existing or post-operative. So in today's scenario, various challenges of refractive surgery are correction of refractive error, correction of pre-existing higher order abrasions with minimal induction of higher order abrasions. Wavefront guided ablations options which we have minimize induction of higher order abrasions, and they are much better than the conventional treatment options available. But in cases where we require higher ablations, the results are unpredictable. Implantable polymer lenses, these are phakic intraocular lenses which preserve the prolate shape of the cornea, so there are little risk of higher order abrasion induction, but may induce higher order abrasions because of their optical properties or due to surgical incision. Various authors have their data published. Few prominent ones are highlighted here. Igraci et al. In 2009 reported that ICL induces lesser HOAs and provides better contrast sensitivity as compared to wavefront guided LASIK in high myopías. Kamya et al. Had similar results in patients of low to moderate myopia. Shin et al. Also concluded that wavefront guided LASIK is far less as compared to ICL patients as compared to better contrast and higher order abrasions. Sanders et al. have talked about the efficacy and predictability of the toric ICL in moderate to high myopia, but they didn't study higher order abrasions. Kim et al. Analyzed the trefoil and Tim et al. Analyzed the ICL patients, and they also concluded that trefoil is increased and there is induction of negative spherical abrasions. So purpose of my study was to compare higher order abrasions before and after toric ICL implantation in patients of high compound myopic astigmatism. No Indian studies available. Prospective intervention study was conducted on 20 eyes of 14 patients with compound myopia with refractive error varied between 8 to 23 diopters with 2 to 4 diopter of astigmatism. Patients, LASIK rejects patients were included because of either inappropriate residual stromal bed depth or preoperative central corneal thickness less than 500 microns. Anterior chamber depth should be more than 2.8 mm from endothelium, stable refraction more than 1 year, open angles on gonioscopy, age more than 21 diopter, astigmatism more than 2 diopter. Patient who had ACD depth less than 2.8 mm were excluded, along with patients with endothelial cell count less than 2500 or patients of keratoconus, previous history of any intraocular surgery, glaucoma or cataract. Preoperatively, use uncorrected visual acuity, best corrected visual acuity refraction was noticed. Corneal topography was done on OP scan. Central corneal thickness, sulcus to sulcus diameter also measured on OP scan. Anterior chamber depth from endothelium was also measured on OP scan. Pupil size abrometry on ZY wave abrometer at 6 cm pupil size was done. Specular microscopy and complete anterior and posterior segment examination also. Simple surgical procedure was performed with 12 and 6 low carb were marked on slit lamp. 3.2 mm temporal incision was made to implant toric ICL and it was oriented along the recommended axis. In the end, we performed a surgical superior iodotomy at 12 o'clock. Post-operatively, patients were examined on 1st, 3rd, 7th and 21st day and then at 3 months and 6 months. Main outcome measures were uncorrected visual acuity, residual refractive error, ICL vaulting, intraocular pressure, higher order abrasions at 6 months. 20 eyes of 14 patients underwent toric ICL. Uncorrected visual acuity was better than 6 by 9 in all eyes. 17 by 20 eyes were 6 by 6. Residual spherical equivalent was plus minus 0.75 diopter. UCV was maintained in all patients at 6 months. Gain of 2 lines of visual acuity in 3 eyes were seen. Mean IOP was 19. ICL vault varied between 350 to 624 microns. Higher order abrasions mean when we calculate the before implanting the ICL it was 0.59, and after implanting the ICL it was 0.63, and the difference was not significantly much. When we individually analyzed the abrasions, we focused on basically on coma, trefoil, and spherical abrasions. In coma, preoperative mean was 0.49, which changed to 0.24 after the surgery. And in the fourth order spherical abrasion, the mean was 0.06, which changed to minus 0.23. And the horizontal trefoil, nearly minus 0.29, it further decreased to minus 0.47. So I conclude that toric ICL induces minimal and insignificant higher order abrasions as it preserves the prolate shape of cornea. It induces negative spherical abrasions, decreases vertical coma, better visual performance, and the centration and alignment of the ICL remains the key.
This was done in toric ICL case, not the regular spherical.
No, sir.
Have you measured they were rightly placed on the axis postoperatively also?
Yes, sir, we measured it.
Because that will be a main feature.
We measured at the 3 months time, and if there is a refractive error, residual error, post-operatively at 1 month, then we measure earlier also. But in 3 months, we measure the case.
So did you find any difference between the 5 degree or 10 degree rotation of the ICL?
Yes, sir, there were 5 degree rotation in few patients.
No, but what was the difference in high order rotation induced by the lenses which were not on the axis?
So there was no much difference. We included those patients also in the study, but there was
What
no.
I need to say that if it is not effective, then we will not be very much concerned about the on-axis placement.
So 10 degree, more than 10 degrees significant. Even it says that less than 1 to 10 degrees, it negates the effect by 1/3 of the cylindrical effect. But less than
But
5.
10 degree will affect 30% reduction in the cylindrical
More than
length.
10-30%. So 1 to 5 degrees changes that. But we didn't have a separate group for that, or we analyzed that separately. But just a 5 degree variation where we didn't have a separate measure that.
Thank you.
But can you analyze other way? Suppose the patients who had the maximum shift, was there any wrong thing in the implantation or on the corneal astigmatism induced by incision itself?
So it can happen.
Sometimes the incision can be more anterior inside the limbus than to have more high order induction rather than the.
All the incisions are placed at posterior limbals.
What I mean to say that the study it is having effect or not effect. Should I
We
variables?
didn't analyze that because of corneal incision or the length of the incision. We didn't analyze that.
It was good scope also.
Yeah, thank you. Next time.
Our next speaker is Dr. Sudhir Shahadi. He is speaking on clinical results of relaxed smile during the learning curve. Dr. Sudhir Shahadi.
This time I'm going to show you the clinical results of our first approximately 200 eyes with relaxed smile. This is an all minimally invasive, minimal access new refractive procedure. No blade, no excimer, no flap. It's very safe. It's a fast single-step procedure with manual centration. There is no eye tracker here. There is no transition zone. No normogram is used, and the energy level is actually optimal. It requires optimum energy for an exact correction. The presumed advantages are minimal the risk of ectasia, the minimal risk of dry eye, and really virtually no aftercare required. Presumably there should be a superior biomechanical strength, it should be stable in higher corrections. Because there is no peripheral loss of effect, the induction of spherical aberration should be less. Since the correction occurs before creating a flap, many of the variables are gone. You should have greater accuracy, and as the hydration of the bed does not change, there should be a very low risk of irregularity in the ablation. So we wanted to evaluate in this small study the predictability, efficacy and safety, and the complications during the learning curve. The Vizumax 500 Hz femtosecond laser was used, and these are eyes with either pseudo-smile or smile. The 6 or 6.5 mm optical zone is used, and the cap used is 1 mm more than that. The residual bed is 275 microns or greater in all of them. Initially, our energy settings were low, and we had difficulty with the dissection of the lenticle with slow recovery of vision. Later the energy was raised and the dissection was easier with the faster recovery of vision. When suction loss occurred, we used repair mode and either converted to femtoLASIK or to relax smile. In one patient, the surgery was deferred. This was a retrospective analysis. The study period is as shown. Patients with at least 6 months follow-up are included in this, which is 199 eyes or 105 patients, approximately equal male and female, 11 unilateral and 94 bilateral surgeries. Approximate age was about 30 years. The spherical equivalent ranged from 0.75 to 10 diopters with an average of 4.27, and the minimum cylinder was, the highest cylinder was about 375. The predictability is shown here. So preoperative minus 4.27 plus minus 2.16, postoperative minus 0.04, which plus minus 0.15. Range in the postoperative is plus 0.25 to minus 0.75. Approximately, all eyes were within 1 diopter of the correction. Half a diopter, 196 out of 199 eyes, and within a quarter diopter, 192 out of the 199 eyes. 3 eyes with suction loss had an undercorrection, and in 4 eyes there was a accidental error in programming the correction, which is why they were overcorrected. This is the difference map that we have seen fairly consistent. This is one example to show high myo. This is our first, I think, with the 6th or 7th patient. Approximately 10 diopter myo showing a very nice, large, uniform optical zone. Postoperative 6.4.5. The cylinder likewise was within 1 diopter in 98% or 196 out of 199 eyes, half a diopter 194 out of 199, and quarter diopter 192 out of 199. Again, 3 eyes with suction loss. This is just to show the effect of the cylinder correction. One caveat here is that unless you do not have oculine or you do not have any mechanism for iris registration, so if you have a toric misalignment during the excision, then you will have a toric undercorrection. The visual acuity was 20/20 or better in 190 out of 199 eyes, or 95.4%. But when we looked at this preoperatively, only 91% eyes or 182 eyes were 20/20 or better, and postoperatively there was a gain. Approximately 2/3 or 66% eyes were 20/15 or better. Looking at the safety of the preoperative, best corrected vision over the postoperative uncorrected vision, there was no eyes lost lines of best corrected vision, and 72% eyes approximately gained 1 or more lines of uncorrected vision over the preoperative best corrected. The lenticule was stuck to the upper surface of the cap in 2 eyes with pseudosmile, where the flap had to be reflected to dissect the lenticule out. The low energy caused difficulty in dissection in about 15 eyes, which had early haze with a delayed visual recovery, but they all improved eventually within about, I think, 6 or 8 weeks to 6/6. In 5 eyes with suction loss, 2 eyes were converted to relax smile with the repair mode, and they were 20/20. In 2 eyes which we converted to femtoLASIK, 1 eye had uncorrected 20/15 vision. In the other eye, which is the first eye that we ever operated, we had aggressively dissected the lenticule and may have caused irregularity in the bed during that, which is why there was an induced cylinder at 3 months, and uncorrected vision 20/40, best corrected vision 20/15. 1 eye was in a very nervous patient, and the surgery was rescheduled and completed uneventfully at that time. So overall, there were no sight-threatening complications. This is 1 eye with suction loss that was converted to femtoLASIK, to relax. Another eye with femtoLASIK conversion. This is the eye where we have the induction of the cylinder. If you can see, there's an irregularity in the topography which has caused the cylinder induction. This is the eye with suction loss where we aborted the procedure and there absolutely no change in the topography. So I think overall we had very safe, effective and predictable results with reasonably good visual recovery, a small learning curve. The overall complication rate eventually was low. We had good results even in eventful cases, and I think overall it's a lovely procedure, and it's a very, very safe procedure. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sujal,
Yeah.
I was wondering, we are taking a lenticule out of that part,
Right.
and there is a sharp transition zone. Unlike in Alzheimer where we have a transition zone,
Correct.
we don't have any transition zone.
Right.
Don't you feel it will create some glare or some problem? Normally we keep transition zone to avoid those things.
Intuitively, one would think this will happen, but this has not been our experience. So I think, and most of the other users share that experience. So we've not seen glare or any of these visual effects at the transition zone.
What Dr. Sujal is saying is right, that we are not having the complaints by the patient, and topographically also we are seeing the very sharp defect, but the patients are not complaining. Probably because the anterior lamella is maintained, that is having the much more value, or having a kind of working like a transition zone. Because then you cut a defect and your anterior lamella is stretched over it. So the defect is gradually merged into a normal cornea. So probably there is working like a transition defect.
Dr. Sujal, 4 out of 199 had wrongly, the data was wrongly interpreted. Don't you think that is a bit higher percentage?
That is high, but that is not a limitation of the procedure. That is a limitation of the surgeon.
You're taken any?
The thing is, we do the fog manifest refraction and the cycloplegic on the same day, and then the post PMT, and sometimes with all these numbers all over the place, there is an error, and that is entirely my fault. Thank you for bringing this up to me.
Thank you.
The Relax Smile in 500 Eyes. Chief and presenting author Dr. Rishika Gupta.
A very good afternoon to one and all. My paper presentation is on our experience with Relax Smile in 500 Eyes. In science, the successors stand upon the shoulders of their predecessors. Corneal refractive surgery has witnessed a technology explosion in the last half century with a variety of microkeratomes, excimer lasers, femtosecond lasers, and an array of procedures to choose from. The latest entrant, small incision lenticule extraction, a subtype of Relax, combines the state-of-art femtosecond technology with high-precision lenticule extraction, thus providing minimally invasive refractive correction. It is a single-step, all-femtosecond laser flapless surgery. Smile combines the advantages of both PRK by retaining the corneal biomechanical strength and LASIK by providing early post-op recovery and faster visual rehabilitation. Coming to our experience, it was a prospective non-randomized study including 500 eyes of 255 patients presenting to us at Netradharma Super Specialty Eye Hospital between November 2012 and June 2013. Inclusion criteria was myopia between 0.5 and 10 diopters, age more than 21 years, a stable refraction with discontinuation of the contact lenses, thinnest corneal thickness at least more than 480 microns, and a residual stromal bed of at least more than 250 microns. Exclusion criteria was evidence of any visually significant ocular diseases. Preoperatively, we measured the best corrected visual acuity, subjective refraction, dry eye status, higher order aberrations, and the contrast sensitivity. Postoperatively, at day 1, uncorrected and best corrected visual acuity and subjective refraction, and in addition, dry eye evaluation was done along with higher order aberrations and contrast sensitivity at day 15 and at 3 months. For aberrations, we used iTrace, which is based on the ray tracing technology. It measures the forward aberrations, and data is displayed in the form of wavefront maps showing the RMS value for each aberration. For contrast sensitivity, we have used the FACD chart. It tests 5 spatial frequencies and 9 levels of contrast. For dry eye evaluation, we perform Schirmer's 1, 2 tear breakup time and tear osmolarity using the tear lab. Our intra-parameters were as follows. We kept the cap thickness of 100 microns with a diameter of 7.5 millimeters, optical zone 6 to 6.8. This depended upon the patient's refractive error and the scotopic pupil diameter, incision of 2 millimeters, energy cut index of 35, spot and track distance of 4.5 microns. The surgical steps were as follows: docking of the eye under the curved contact glass, followed by femtosecond laser application, where the spiral in laser creates the lenticule cut and the spiral out laser creates the cap cut. The lenticule thus created was dissected and then extracted through the 2 millimeter incision. Intraoperatively, 4 eyes had suction loss, of which 3 eyes were redocked and we treated them with SMILE, and 1 eye required conversion to the flap followed by excimer laser ablation. 2 eyes showed extension of the incision. Our study included 154 females and 101 males, majority of them being within the 24 to 31 year age group. Preoperatively, the refractive error ranged from 0.5 to 10 diopters, but our patients, majority of them, were within -6 to -8 diopter range. Preoperative best corrected visual acuity was 6.6 and 98.2, 6 by 7.5 and 1.4, and 6 by 9 and 0.4% eyes. Postoperatively, the uncorrected visual acuity was 6.6 or better in 98.4% eyes, which improved to 98.8% by 3 months. 97.4% eyes showed no change in their best corrected visual acuity. 2.6% showed a gain of 1 line. Higher order aberrations increased from 0.412 to 0.428 microns at 3 months. The change, as you can see, was minimal. Contrast sensitivity did show a dip from its preoperative level to postoperatively at day 15. However, as you can see in the graph, from day 15 to 3 months, there was an improvement in the contrast sensitivity given the interface healing occurring. Shermer's 1 and 2 showed a reduction from their preoperative level to the postoperative levels. Tear breakup time also reduced from 13.29 to 11.4 seconds, which again was quite minimal. And the tear osmolarity increased from 308 to 309.37 milliosmoles per liter. Clinically induced dryness was quite insignificant. Thus, in conclusion, this study establishes that the refractive predictability, safety, and the overall quality of vision is quite high with RELEX SMILE. Thank you for your attention.
Have you compared this with the routine LASIK, regular LASIK?
We did as a part of another study where we had divided the patients. We found that the post-operative uncorrected visual acuity was higher, and then we did a detailed evaluation. We found that the post-op higher order aberrations induced in SMILE were quite less, while in LASIK they are much more. And even the refractive correction, the accuracy, predictability, efficacy, everything was better with SMILE. As Dr. Shah had said, in SMILE it's a femtosecond laser which creates a lenticule before we touch the eye. Whereas in other procedures like LASIK, PRK, once we open the flap or we remove the epithelium, the stroma is exposed and there can be hydration changes which can affect the refractive accuracy. So we have found probably these are the reasons that in SMILE, refractive accuracy is better, and because the higher order aberrations induced were quite less with SMILE, it's better. The tear film abnormalities also can contribute to the final quality of vision. Because in LASIK we are cutting a flap, and in SMILE it's hardly a 2 millimeter incision. So all these factors could probably add and provide a better quality. That is another study that we had done.
What about the post-operative reactions? Like in femto, we are doing femto LASIK. We are creating there is a lot of reaction. We have to use the steroids for that. And
yes,
we are using too much of femto LASIK for this procedure. So do you find any difference?
We have not found there's a period of at least 1 month to 1.5 months where, because of the interface healing which has not yet occurred, the contrast is slightly low, but over a period of time it improves because of the interface healing. The steroid regimen remains the same what we were giving for LASIK, so we are giving here also post-operatively, but we have not found any significant reaction which was very different from LASIK.
What about pain and other?
Which is quite minimal, probably because the external incision is very small. It's only 2 millimeters. There's no post-op.
Any patients who had any age?
Clinically, the only thing that, as I said, was the intrastromal healing, but as such, not a very significant case.
So that reduces the inflammation is not there. If inflammation is there, much of the inflammation, there will be some amount of age.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Revati Subramani. She is going to speak on rare complications in LASIK surgeries. Dr. Revati is here? I think she's here. So with this we come to the end of our session, and shortly we'll be announcing the results also. Thank you to everyone.
Just wait for 5 minutes.
Light off. Lights.
No. There is a compound, there is a center. The speaker of this session was the transepithelial PRK total fluoride combined with CXL for calcium marginal degeneration.
But everybody else also has done an IELTS.
It was a close
Yeah.
fight. Almost most of the person are in the same range.
Yeah.
It was very good presentation.
We got
You are Dr. Revati? No.
Come with us.
Ji, yeah.
You're Dr. Revati?
साइड हो जा भाई
नहीं, बाहर है।
पीछे BBC आ जाए।
हाँ।
You also come.
बेटे के पास।
नीचे बैठ खींचो यार
I just give one suggestion that everybody who presents something surgically should have video rather than just photographs. Thank you very much, and with this we conclude this session.
Good afternoon, friends. I think now we can start the free paper session on the script. Each speaker will be given 6 minutes time. If you cross that, automatically the average become off. So, if everybody is ready, there are 10 presenters. Right, tell the name. I think just to confirm that whether they have downloaded their papers or not. First is Dr. Rowley. I think there is a change. Previously it was somebody else. Dr. Rowley. Yeah, okay. And Dr. Sri Devi. Okay, fine. And third presenter will be Dr. Jia. She is here. And Dr. Ramesh. Yeah. Fifth paper is by Dr. Shweta. Is Dr. Shweta here? Yes, but Kavi. I don't know. Paper 6 is by Dr. P.K. Pandey. But do you have written order from the chairman Samsung committee? Can you provide us? No, for what? Has he given the permission to you? Then in that case your paper will be, you can present, but that will not be counted as for the prize, right? Okay.
Dr. Nishan Yadav is here. Nishan Yadav.
Yeah.
Ramesh Murthy.
Next is
Dr. Chittaranjan.
he is here. And
Jitendra is here.
Dr. Jitendra is here.
Yeah, he is here. Yeah, you want to show us the soft copy?
questionnaires in Duane-Redoxon syndrome by Dr. Rowley.
I'm here to present a paper on the utility of the Adult Strabismus 20 questionnaire in surgical management of Duane's retraction syndrome. Now, Duane syndrome has been a therapeutic challenge to most strabismologists, and the decision to operate has been an individualized one. At times, it is also difficult to convince the patients to get operated because of the poor surgical outcome. Why are we using health-related quality of life in Duane syndrome? It is an important adjunct to clinical examination and gives a complete perspective on the disease. It is an objective quantitative assessment of the effect of the disease on quality of life and also on the surgical outcome. It also aids in surgical decisions, as we would see in this presentation. Now, Duane's has affected quality of life in a negative manner, and patients suffer from low self-esteem, social anxiety, and also have problems in dealing with interpersonal relationships. Here, we aim to study the utility of the AS20 in surgical management decisions in DRS. We hypothesize that the response on the AS20 correlates with the management decisions in DRS. This is the first study to utilize a health-related quality of life scoring system for DRS, and it also is the first study to attempt a correlation between a subjective score and an objective decision. All patients of DRS attending the Pediatric Vision and Ocular Motility Clinic of our institute were included in the study. We studied the AS20 score, its both subscales were studied separately, and the surgical decision. 29 patients were enrolled in the study, and 21 suffered from DRS1, 5 patients had DRS2, and 3 had DRS3. AS20 was completed unsupervised by the patients in a clinical setting or by the parents of the patients in case the patient happened to be less than 12 years of age. This study was completed over a period of 1 year and was a prospective observational type of study. This is one of our patients of DRS1 on the left side. The AS20 questionnaire evaluates the health-related quality of life in strabismus patients. It is a 20-item patient-derived instrument where the first 10 questions deal with the psychosocial status of the patient and the next 10 talk about the functionality of the patient's eyes. It has a 5-point Likert type scale used for responses ranging from never to always. A score of 100 and 0 indicate the best and the worst quality of life respectively. The surgeon was blinded to the AS20 responses. Surgery was done for grossly abnormal palpebral fissure, troublesome head posture of more than 15 degrees, and a primary ocular deviation of more than 20 PD. The AS scores for surgical and non-surgical groups were then compared, and it was seen that the mean AS20 score for the surgically and the conservatively managed group showed a significant difference. Also, a significant difference was seen in the mean functional scores, but the difference in the mean psychosocial scores was insignificant. This is the bar chart representing the same details. The analysis of data was done under the following heads. The mean score was used to calculate the central tendency of each group. Unpaired t-test, as just seen in the previous slide, was used to compare the AS20 scores of the surgically and the conservatively managed groups. Then chi-square testing was done, taking critical values of 20, 40 and 60 with 1 degree of freedom to compare the AS20 scores with the management decisions. Then an ROC curve was plotted to interpret the diagnostic accuracy of the test. A two-sided significance level of p-value less than 0.05 was considered significant. Then the results analysis of different critical values of 20, 40 and 60 was compared, and it was seen that the p-value was lowest, taking a cutoff of 40. Also, the contingency coefficient was the maximum, that is of 0.49, with the cutoff of 40. The sensitivity decreased and the specificity increased as we took a higher cutoff value. Now then we compared the number of patients that were actually operated according to the clinical decision that we had taken and the number of patients that would have been operated in case we had taken a cutoff of 20, 40 and 60, as shown here by the blue and the red bar charts. And it was seen that again the 40 cutoff correlated best with our clinical decisions. Then the ROC curve was plotted, again proving the diagnostic accuracy of the test. Thus, significantly lower composite and functional AS20 scores of the surgically treated groups were seen. Statistically insignificant difference was seen in the psychosocial score, and a critical value of 40 correlated best with the management decision. Thus, the functional subscale correlates better than the composite scores, maybe because of the functional score being a more objective one and having a lower standard deviation. Plus, there was some overlap between the components of the functional questionnaire and the clinical evaluation that we had done. Thus, we could conclude that the AS20 is a useful tool for quantitative assessment. The scores correlated better with the surgical decision in DRS. What next? Are we any wiser after this study? Maybe we need further studies to establish a perfect cutoff score for surgical decisions, especially when we are in the grey zone whether we should operate or not. And these questionnaires may be used for quantitative assessment of the surgical outcome. Also, regular documentation on these questionnaires may enhance the prognostic abilities. Thank you.
Thank you. You have the two groups, the surgical and the conventional. The conventional with the non-treated cases, surgically.
Yes.
Right? The medical management has been done for those cases.
No surgery was done for such cases.
The medical management, at least, suppose, and
whatever refraction we could correct, that was done. Because the head posture, if it was insignificant, sir, then surgery was not required, because surgery cannot really improve the ocular motility.
That's true, but I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Colleagues and my seniors, I'm going to talk about the clinical profile of patients with microtropia in a tertiary care hospital. There is no financial interest in the subject of this presentation. Microtropia is a manifest deviation of less than or equal to 8 prism diopter, anomalous retinal correspondence giving rise to abnormal binocular single vision with normal motor fusion and reduced or absent visual acuity. The motor findings include the small manifest deviation of less than 8 prism diopter superimposed with heterophoria, preserved fusional divergence and convergence amplitude. The sensory findings are monofixation, scotoma in the non-fixating eye, distance separation on both product test, peripheral fusion, preserved gross stereopsis, amblyopia in non-fixating eye. The aim of this study is to analyze the clinical characteristics and profile of patients diagnosed with microtropia. It is a retrospective analysis conducted between March 2009 to March 2012 in the Department of Pediatric Ophthalmology, Shankara, Chennai. The overview of this method, of this study method, is a retrospective of medical records with inclusion-exclusion criteria, followed with comprehensive eye examination, orthoptic evaluation, management, and diagnosis management. The results come to demographics. Out of 68 patients, 50 patients had left retractee, 39 patients were males, 29 were females. And 51 patients came with the complaints of decreased vision, 6 with amblyopia, 5 with squint, 2 with watering, 3 with regular checkup, and 1 with color blindness. So refractive, 28 patients had simple hyperopic astigmatism, and 18 patients had simple myopic astigmatism, and 8 patients were mixed astigmatism, and 12 were hyperopic. Now 60 patients were orthophoric, 2 were esotropic, and 2 were exotropic. On both product test, 40 patients had suppression for distance and 50 patients had fusion for near. Come to stereopsis, 17 patients had between 800 to 40 seconds of an arc on random dot test, 22 patients were between 400 to 70 seconds of an arc, 11 patients had between 70 to 20 seconds of an arc. Coming to discussion, the study is comparable with Galloway, Smith and colleagues, where 11% of their cases primary and rest being secondary to nisometropia. Most of the patients were orthophoric, goes against the study conducted by Langs and colleagues, where most of their patients were esotropic. The laterality towards the left eye goes in favor of the study conducted by multi-ethnic pediatric IDC study by Benjamin et al., where the population-based study was 9,000 children between 1 to 9 years. There is a strong tendency for amblyopia eye to remain hyperopic, whereas the leading eye becomes emmetropic or even myopic, which is supported by the recent study conducted by Leopard and Lefister. In conclusion, treatment centers on the correction of any refractive error and maintenance occlusion for amblyopia. Amblyopia is the main treatable factor, and the aim of the treatment should be equivisual activities in both eyes. There is a requirement for early diagnosis of this condition in order to treat it more effectively. The limitation of this study is the fixation pattern is not tested using visuoscope. The future scope of this study is the macrotropia may be an unrecognized cause of reduced visual acuity in any age group and frequently misdiagnosis. It is unusual for patients with macrotropia to complain of any symptoms. It may lead to recompensated non-fixation syndrome later on. Many cases of intermittent exotropia may in fact be non-fixation exotropia that goes undetected before surgical correction. Thank you.
Thank you.
What new thing did you observe compared to the previous literatures on this
So in
study?
my study, orthophoria patients are more than compared to
Orthophoria means
This side, yes. We like to hear.
Sorry. The refractive error is, I found was hyperopic astigmatism is more compared to the rest of the refractive error.
So that is the more effective cause for the amblyopia, hypermetropia, refractive type, or anisometropia is also there.
Anisometropia.
Yeah, pardon?
Anisometropia also may be the
So I assumed it was hypermetropia is the main factor for this. Thank you.
third paper is horizontal rectus vessel plication in children and an effective vessel sparing alternate resection. Dr. Zia.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. I thank my co-author and mentor, Dr. Dima. We have no financial disclosures. A rectus muscle plication comprises double breasting the rectus muscle extraocular muscles to the required extent in an attempt to shorten and hence strengthen the extraocular muscles. Various alternative terms like imbrication or tuck has been described in literature. Rectus extraocular muscle to sclera plication does not affect cosmesis, is less traumatic, and aids vessel sparing when required. We hypothesize that it would be an effective alternative in situations where more inflammation is expected, as in children, or thyroid ophthalmopathy, etc. Now, the procedure essentially comprises that this is a cartoon. We insert the hook, and this is the zone where we insert in the at the required area zone. We put in the muscles. We put in the suture, and then we take in sutures at the scleral base. And I would and this now if we take, I would like the audience to know this particular area where we have inserted into the sutures into the muscle. Now we take an iris sweep and insert it underneath the vitreal sutures such that it acts like a fulcrum. When we take that, if I go back to the previous slide, note that that is the area where I take this particular, where we've inserted in the suture, and we take it onto the sclera such that it acts as a fulcrum. And then we take out the iris sweep. So that is how you go about, and if you know the cross section over there, that is how it is, and that is how we go about doing it. The purpose of this study was to compare effectivity of rectus extraocular muscle plication with extraocular muscle resection in children with reference to the surgical nomograms of Parks et al. For recession and resections. The hypothesis was, as already mentioned, that the surgical dose effect of plication is similar to resection. It was a retrospective study. We compared patients from 2008 to 2013, included consecutive patients undergoing extraocular muscle plication and resection by a single surgeon, that was Dr. Dima. Excluded patients undergoing resurgery. Parameters that we took were the best corrected visual acuity, refractive error, oculomotor examination, evaluation of deviation by prism and cover test, preoperatively, postoperatively on the first visit, and at last evaluation.
slit lamp, and a complete anterior and posterior segment evaluation. And the statistics were done by regression analysis by GraphPad Prism statistical software, and of course Microsoft Excel. Now, the methods employed were that the patients were examined under general anesthesia, the surgeries were performed under general anesthesia. They were children. Either a limbal or a Swan's incision was given. And here I would like to again point out, do we have a pointer which works? Okay, here I would like to point out that this is how, we hook the muscle and we demarcate the area as shown in the cartoon. We pass the scleral sutures and then the iris sweep is inserted and then it's pulled over the iris sweep onto the sclera. And as we can see that it doesn't form any bulk. And the results that we had was, we had the groups essentially were matched as far as age was concerned, about 10 years of age. Also the average deviation, if you take, was not significantly different, about 30% average of both esotropia and exotropia. And what we observed was, excuse me, this has gone back. Excuse me, this has got stuck. Audio, yeah. Of the computer. Sorry. Okay. No, but it's got stuck on the next slide. I had to show the results slide. ये back नहीं जा रहा. It's got stuck. It's got hung. Okay. All right. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. So if you can see that the measures compared, like if you take the amount of resection done and the amount of resection done for esotropes and exotropes as the case may be. Of course, a follow-up of resections, because this was not really a comparative study. It was a retrospective study where preferences were changed with time. So the follow-up, of course, of resection is more. But we're not saying that plication is better than resection because the follow-up is so much more. We can see that it compares very well. And the dose-response curve, basically what we found was that the curves were similar for both. Modest augmentation of about 20% was required for lateral rectus plication while planning routine horizontal muscle surgery with Park's table, while no such augmentation was required for medial rectus plication. So you could apply Park's novograms, but for the lateral rectus, we go ahead and augment by about 20% when we decide on application. And again, it's got stuck. Again, okay. And so we concluded that it's a quick, effective, and a predictable modality of strengthening extraocular muscles, causes less surgical trauma, preserves anterior ciliary circulation. Adjustment can be performed when the muscle to be recessed, and in case bilateral plication is planned, then adjustable resection may be performed in one eye. Like you perform plication in one and adjustable resection in the other. And it's very useful as an alternative, especially in children susceptible to inflammation, like in children and in patients with thyroid ophthalmopathy. Now, this video. I would like to just to show. Excuse me. I'm sorry about this. It doesn't seem to be. It was a cartoon which showed. I don't know what's happening here. Isko chalaiye. Videos always cause a problem, as I've seen, but I didn't want this. If it does not, then we go ahead. That's it. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, fair enough. It doesn't make a difference because it's we've shown the other cartoon. And thank you. Thank you very much. We acknowledge Professor Greif of the University of Gießen, Germany, for sharing his European experience with it, and Saurabh, who has made these wonderful videos and cartoons, and Dr. Deemer, of course, as I mentioned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jia.
How much plication do you do? How much?
Exactly, as I mentioned, ma'am, like for medial rectus, the same as what you would do for resection, and for lateral rectus, what we realized, in fact, the largest study, the overall, this is just for children, the overall study is going to be published in the archives very soon, and we require an augmentation of about 20% more. For lateral rectus, yes.
The question is the maximum limit for the plication you can
we've gone to almost the same. So, for example, for resection, if you go on, so for the same as what you would go for resection. Say for the medial rectus, normally I have never gone beyond 8 millimeters. Let's put it this way: 6 is what I normally do. So that much.
Listen, suppose you have to do the 8 millimeter plication for the LR, then your suture will be put where?
At 8 millimeters, sir. And the muscle just is the same as you would put in for resection. You will put in 8 millimeters there, and then you will bring it forth. and lighten it at the sclera.
The 4 millimeter.
No, because the whole muscle that is getting imbricated, it's double breasting, isn't it? So it's 8 millimeters because it's a double breastation.
That's all. That's why you need the 20% augmentation.
No, only for the lateral rectus we have seen, not for the medial rectus somehow. So we cannot explain this as to why this is happening.
Any
Because medial rectus is it's absolutely similar, but lateral rectus, yes.
Any cosmetic problem?
No, that's what, exactly it. That's what we show the photographs for also. Because if you do, like if you do a muscle to, what has been described in literature is a muscle to muscle tuck, realize, makes the muscle bulbous. But here, when you go to the sclera,
you have any post-op photograph?
not right now, but in my computer, yes, not for this presentation, yes. But yes, we do. And our archives, no, actually it is in the archives. I would have had to take permission
major
for
issue
it.
is glycation.
No, but sir, I would refer you to our article within a month. It's going
No, we cannot go to your archives
no,
now that for the presentation.
No, what I mean to say is that it's not in this presentation, but if you would know it for the sake of interest,
Thank you, Dr.
then in a month it's going to be coming out.
Thank you.
I couldn't have used that information.